Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
A very warm welcome in introductory session on intellectual property rights. When we are saying intellectual property rights, just see the word property. When we are talking about the property, immediately in our mind that property comes like a house or a flat or a car, and then we think that yes, if that property is there, we can buy, we can have a money, we can have some recognition, we can have a satisfaction when I will have property. But now today we are talking about the intellectual property. So something different than the normal property whatever we are aware about. So it is an intellectual, so related to something which we say that it is an intellect, and that intellect is creating property, and that whenever it is like protected by a statutory provisions, that rights are created, and therefore the name is intellectual property rights. We will go into the details, so you need not to worry about whether it is complicated or all. It's very simple. We will just try to relate with the normal things which are we are dealing with, and then we will try to understand what that exactly the intellectual property is there. Now, when we are talking about this property, you can just see here that there is a tangible property and intangible property. What is the meaning of that? So, something like if we are talking about this, suppose we are talking about this book, if I take, I can touch it and I can say that, oh, this is a book. So, I can say that this is my property, book as my property, okay. Now, or we can say that the pen is there, and then we can say that this pen is my property, I can touch to this particular thing. But when we are talking about a intellectual property, it is in the form of ideas, and then we are like something thought process is going on, and that we are like using, or from that we are creating the property, and that is what the intellectual property which you cannot touch. Okay, so we are thinking 60,000 thoughts come in our mind in every day. Okay, so what we have to do then? We can note down that particular thoughts, and probably that will help us to create the intellectual property. So many things we are thinking about, like whenever walking, oh, if this would have been like this, or if this would have been like this. So all these processes, all this thinking is going on, right? But when that thought process, when we streamline, probably we can create something, and that creation is like that can be we can protect it, and that can create an intellectual property. Let us see one example now. Now, are you able to recognize who are these founders or inventors? We can say, I am giving you the hint. So they are, you can just check here, or you can Google who they are, okay, and they are the founders of a organization which we are aware about, that is a Google. Now I am taking this example because these who are they? Breen and Larry and Breen, right? Larry Page and then Breen. Now what they have done, they were studying into the college. They are in a Stanford University, and there they were thinking about what their problem statement, and then they have created their page ranking algorithm, you can say, or page ranking related invention they have created in the university during their studies. Now this page ranking, that invention, Stanford University they were studying, and there what happened, they have obviously with the procedures, they have protected it by the laws of intellectual property. A property is created, and can you imagine how much amount is generated by university from this particular single invention? That is almost about, you can just see here, more than 300 million, that is almost 3,000 crores considering Indian rupees. So you can just, we have to appreciate, we can appreciate that yes, with single patent we can create this much kind of a fortune, and that is, we can say, the strength or a power of a intellectual property, right? Let us move little further now. Now you just see this example of a Akash. Now what happened? Akash, Akash is during his like teenager time, 12, when he was a 12, 13-year-old, he has worked on a problem that is silent heart attacks. Now, how was the inspiration? From what he got the inspiration? Unfortunately, in his family, his grandfather expired due to the silent heart attack. Now, by seeing that incidence, Akash decided that he should help to avoid this kind of a problem, and then he started working on that particular problem, that is a silent heart attack. Let us watch the video here, so you can just get idea about what exactly he is working on.
The concentrations of these cardiac biomarkers keep increasing abysmally. My device is solely based on this idea. The key is that these cardiac biomarkers are found in one of the earliest stages of a heart attack, when someone is almost so sure to survive if they can get prompt care. And here's how my device works. A silicone patch is worn around your wrist or placed near your chest. Without having you prick your skin for a biomarker blood test, this patch can spot, isolate, and track a heart attack specific biomarker called HFABP.
Okay, so now from this video you can appreciate that how exactly he has worked on the particular problem, and then he has created that device, and then that device is patented. Still he is working now on this particular project. The product is being refined, and he got the recognition. He has got the award from the President of India, and you can just see that one problem stated, his intellectual input created that particular property. We call it as a patent, and obviously he is like serving to the nation, serving to the society, you can say, by creating such kind of a device, and obviously he has got the recognition also. Now just see that what he has done, that noting of the idea and then the working on that particular idea. So whenever we are talking about this intellectual property, what we have to remember always, that if we are passionate about certain thing, and if some ideas come in our mind, we have to note down that thing, because many times we forget that particular thought process, and we may not able to work on it later. Okay, and here you can say that there's different types of intellectual property like patent, trademark, copyright, industrial design, protection of plant varieties and farmers' right. Then there is a trade secret, then there is a semiconductor integrated layout design, geographical indication. So you can just here see that there are the 8 types of intellectual property. Again, these are very simple types. We will go into the details of that later sometime, but quickly we can just try to understand what these particular different types are. So when we are talking about a patent, I can just give you one example, that suppose if there is any gadget, or suppose for example, suppose I will take an example of this particular iron. You can see that this particular gadget, it will have lot many internal like that arrangements. I will just simple words I am using, that is that arrangements are there, some inventions are there, because there are lot many things inside. All these are like a patented. So if I take this example, we can say that more than 1000 patents are there regarding this particular, thousands, or I can say that 10,000 patents regarding this particular device only. So inventions or innovations related to that, whatever are there, that will be protected by this particular thing. Now we can just move further and we can look into the next, that is a trademark. Now when we are talking about a trademark, you can just look into that. We have taken the example of this particular device. Now you just see here, it is written here like Bajaj, or you can just see here that it is written here like a Colgate, right? You can just check this particular thing. Then there is written this like a V-comb, right? By seeing this also you can immediately recognize that this is a Colgate. Or here whenever you are buying the medicines, you can just check here, it is written here like a Rexite here written, okay? Or you can just see the key here, that mark is there, and here also you can see that particular mark. So that mark is showing that particular, that S is there, or here that S is there, and that is sufficient for you to understand this is related to Maruti. So now we have just seen that we have seen that there are some certain words like Bajaj, Vico, Colgate, or words like S, and that is something like a trademark. We will not go much more details of this, or just you try to understand that innovation, invention, patent, and these marks, letter, or some kind of numbers, then this is something trademark. So now we will move to the next, that is a copyright. You can just see here that when we are talking about a copyright, the dramatic work is there, then the literary work is there, there are the books, there is a architectural work, or you can say that there are like other examples, like I can show you that book is there, so you can just check here that this book is there. So all this is coming under the copyright. Okay, let us move to the next, that is a industrial design. Now you can just see here the different varieties here, that is a different types of car designs which you can see by your naked eyes, and that receive the protection, that is a industrial design. Now you can just see here that design of the ladies bag, you can say, and here there is a mark, that is a caprese. So caprese with this particular design is like a protected. So we can just see here that the purse design we have just seen now, or this car design. So these are the few examples of an industrial design, okay, to get the idea. So it is a external appearance we are protecting. So I just quickly go that patent, invention, innovation, a trademark, we are talking about the words, letters, etc. That is the identity. Then we have talked about a copyright, that is for that we are like expressing something, like dramatic work you are expressing, or book you are expressing your thought, okay, so that expression is there. In industrial design you are protecting the external appearance, right. So that types of intellectual property. Now we will move to the next one, and that is a geographical indication. Now when we are talking about a geographical indication, you can just see here the few examples of geographical indications. So these are very specific to that particular geography, that Kanchipuram silk is there, or you can say that Alfonso mango is there, and few other examples you can just say, but it is like for the geographical indication, indicating geography. The next one we are talking about the semiconductor integrated circuit layout design. So I can just that you have a mobile phones with you. If you open that thing, then you can see the circuitry design inside that. So that circuitry design, whatever we are talking about, that is protected by the semiconductor integrated circuit layout design. The next is a trade secret. So it is something, the secret related to trade. So sometimes you heard that, oh, this is like a very that formula is very secret formula, and that from that you can create some medicines, or it will be very helpful to for healing something and all that thing. So that particular or food recipe, all this is like comes under a trade secret. The next one is like a protection of plant varieties and farmers' right, and that is something related to the, you can say that plants as name suggests, and it is something related to crops which farmers are growing. So something related to that. So just to get the idea, it is not expected now from you that you will remember all this that types, or you will like know the details about that type. But let us just try to understand that when we are talking about intellectual property, that whatever we are creating, there are different creations are there. Sometimes we are writing, sometimes we are creating the gadgets, sometimes we are creating some words or designs or logos which are very specific. So for every creation of an intellect, there is a protection, and therefore these different types are there, as the subject matter is different, right. So what we have just seen first we have just focused on property, intellectual property, and then we have just seen the different types of intellectual property. Okay. So what you can do now, that just watch this video here, that this girl Vishalini, she is a we can say 7-year-old girl, and what she has done, she has invented a boat that she has like it is like a rescue flood house, and that rescue flood house, which is like invention appreciated by the government of India, she has received the award. Let us watch this video so that you can get the idea.
विशालिनी एन से, उम्र 6 वर्ष, तमिलनाडु से। इन्हें नवाचार के क्षेत्र में सम्मानित किया गया। इन्होंने बाढ़ आपदा जीवन रक्षण का आविष्कार किया जो पानी में तैर सकता है।
So, this examples what we have seen of Akash or Vishalini, you can just see they are teenagers, 13-year-old, 7-year-old. They have just captured the ideas. They have noted down they have seen the problem. They try to solve that particular problem, and then the creation, whatever their creation is there, it is in the form of a product, and that product is like protected by using the intellectual property statutes, and that whatever creation is there, you can just say that it is a patent, right? That device which is created, it is protected by a patent. Or you can see the name, Akash has given the name to that particular device, and that name is like protected by the trademark. Okay. So, this way intellectual property statutes are helping you to do the protection of your creation, so that nobody will copy that particular thing. So, for example, now if you are working on some project, or whenever that vacation time, I have seen the example that students are working on some like science projects, right, in a group, as a group activity, in some academy you are going and doing that particular activities, then make sure that whatever the creation is there, whether it will fall under the criteria which is required for the protection in the form of a patent. So, what is that exactly, that how you can get patent and how you can generate wealth out of that? Let us go into the details of that particular thing in a few moments. Okay. So, now when we are talking about a patent, you can just see here that this is a definition. You need not to go into the intricacies of that. I will just explain it in a very simple way. So, when we are talking about a patent, what exactly it is? This is a right which is given by Government of India. Okay. So, for what? For that particular creation, the inventive step, whatever you have created, for that it is giving you the protection. Now, protection for what? For making, for using, for selling, for manufacturing that particular that creation, you are getting the rights. And whether you have, what procedure you have to follow for getting that rights, it is very simple. I will tell you how exactly we can do that protection. But here, before that, you just see the criteria which are followed for getting that patent. So, you can just see here that criteria. So, there are 3 criteria you can see. That is a novelty, then there is a utility, and there is a non-obviousness. Now, how will you detect that thing? Now, listen very carefully, because probably what you are doing, you are working on some project, you having that particular thought process, and now you understood that yes, if I create something like a device or something, I can get protection, and then I can just market that particular, I can commercialize that particular thing, and I can generate a money, wealth out of that. So, how you can go for the detection of that? You have to just check whether it is a really new in the world. Okay, you have to check that thing. Second thing, what you have to do, whether you can use it industrially. So, industrial applicability. So, whatever your creation is there, whether it is useful to industry, whether it will useful to whether there is an industrial application. So, second thing you have to check. And the third thing what you will do, you will ask your fellow colleague, you have to not disclose everything, because disclosure will lost your novelty. So, you have to just think about that, whether it is very common, is a common thinking, or it is out of the box thinking. Just simple way, you just apply that criteria, and if these 3 criteria you apply, then what will happen? That particular thing will qualify for filing the patent application. If you are not getting for that more details and all, maybe you can go into the more details, or you can just talk with your teachers or your mentors and try to understand whether your creation is qualifying that particular thing. But remember these 3 particular criteria whenever you are working on any project or any kind of a scientific activity. Okay. Now just see that where you can file patent. Suppose you say that okay, I have generated that thing, so whether I can file it. So you can file it as a inventor, you can do this particular thing. Where you can file it? You can just say here that there are 4 offices are there, you need not to go there, everything is online nowadays, but these are the 4 offices where you can file the thing. Now further then how the timeline is. So quickly we go to the time. Suppose you start like a 0 time, you start with that 0 time, and then we will go further that yes, you have filed the patent, then within the 12 months you have to that complete specification should be filed. So suppose what happened that today I am just thinking about that particular thing, and then I have created that, I have filed that, but it is maybe a very simple way without that the expected that particular format is there. If you have not submitted it in a particular format, we call it as a that provisional application, because you whatever things you have created, you can just submit and you can get the protection. Okay, that is possible. Next is like a complete specification. You have to bring it into the expected format. That is a timeline is there for 12 months. So somebody will help you in doing that thing, or you can just go and say in the Google, you just write down a Google patent, and then you go to that site and open some patent, and then you will get the idea what the format is. You can try out that particular thing, but you will require the help of a mentor for that particular thing, but you should know aware about the timelines. So 12 months timeline is there. Then what will happen? It publish, that particular thing publishes after 18 months. Then at the end of before that 31 months you have to give the examination request. Don't get boggled up again with that steps and all. It is very simple, it is a very streamlined, and your mentor will help you to do that particular thing. But you have to remember that if I am doing something new, that inventive step is there, novelty is there, non-obviousness is there, industrial applicability is there. I have to talk with my mentor and I have to remember this timeline so that I can protect that particular in the form of a patent, because that is going to help me for the creation of a wealth, and then obviously I can help with that particular gadget to society. So you are doing both the things. It is a win-win situation for you and the society also, right? So at the end, before that 31 months you have to give the examination fee, and the office will give you that particular, that Government of India, there is an office, CGPDTM office, that they will examine your invention and they will give you the report within that stipulated time. After that 31 months, or generally that timeline is a 36 months, and then maybe in that by the end of 48 months, if everything is in order, you will get the patent on your name. And I can tell you, I have shared with you example of Akash, I have shared with example of Vishalini. I have filed patent for a 6th standard student. So it is possible you can do that thing, and that gives you very much, we can say, leverage in your academics also. You can participate in different competitions like TechFest India, or that there is a fest that some IITs are done that having some technology fest. You can participate and present your invention there, and then you can go that further at international participate into the international competitions. So we should be aware about that particular thing. So effort of this session is like to give you that introductory idea about that particular intellectual property, and we have seen that there are like these 8 types, and we have talked about that particular patent now. Okay, so here you will just write down about what are the 3 criteria which we have just talked about. Okay, so first I have asked you to write down about what is intellectual property. Second, I have asked you about writing the 8 types of intellectual property, and now I am requesting you to just write down the 3 criteria of a patent. Okay, now what we will do? We will just summarize what exactly we have seen. So we know that yes, what is this intellectual property is there, then what is that importance of IP filing is there. We have just seen that what are the 8 types of intellectual property are there. Then we have seen that what is a patent filing timeline is there. Then we have seen where you can file this particular patent, right? So we have got the pretty well idea about this particular things, right? Now one more thing, okay, what I will do, I'm just showing you the map of India. What you will do now, something is there, like these are the fabric tour of India, right? So what you will do, 8 types I have given you, a small, like little bit idea about that, okay? What you will do, you will try to identify which type of intellectual property you can apply to this particular, that different varieties I have, that different, on the map you can see in the different states that different kind of fabrics are there, right? You take your time, you spend some time, rewind it, look into that 8 types and just try to understand what did different types of intellectual property we can apply here out of that 8 types. You can write down in the chat box below, and we can have that comment box there below, and we can discuss further that yes, whether you are really able to identify all different types of intellectual property. Okay, so we got pretty well idea about the property, intellectual property, types of property, and we just focused on the patent, and we have seen the examples of Akash and then Vishalini, and then I have given you some assignment. Probably you will do it and try to understand more about intellectual property. So with this discussion, we will come towards the end of the session, and we will see you later to know or explore more about this intellectual property. Thank you.